We're in the middle of a cloud. That is a cloud. That's how high up this house is. All right, so we did $500,000 in sales last week. I want to share 3 sales lessons that I believe will help you grow your business. And these are not things I learned from any course. This is just from raw experience and doing the thing. Let's run down some numbers. Last week, $500,000 in new client sales. January was a bit of a slow month. We were kind of taking off. We did $200,000 in new client sales, a bit slow. But in December, we had a week where we did $800,000 in new client sales. And this is stuff that'll work for any client-based business. So grab a pen and paper and pay close attention. So the first lesson in sales is you have to understand there are 2 types of sales. There's transactional sales and there is transformational sales. And knowing which one you are in will help you sell better. So transactional sales are where whatever you're selling is tied to a market value, meaning you can only charge so much depending on what the market says you can charge. For instance, a car, a 2025 Rolls-Royce Phantom is going to cost a certain amount of money depending on the year and mileage. You're not going to be able to charge double for that just because you want to. A house or a gallon of orange juice, these are all things that are determined by a market price. Now, transformational sales is different because transformational sales is where the price is solely determined by you and what value you feel that you bring to the table. This is why a lawyer can charge $100 an hour and another lawyer can charge $1,000 an hour because they've done something that has made them feel like they are worth more, and so they charge their worth. Now, that thing could be a better education, could be a better track record, more experience in the game, or they might just feel like, hey, they're better. I'm not going to give you any tips for transactional selling because I just don't like to sell cheap stuff. I like to sell stuff that makes a major impact in someone's life. That's why it's called transformational selling. When you save somebody from going to jail, that really transforms their life. When you give someone consulting that may change their business, their health, maybe you're a personal trainer, and so you're able to finally shed the weight that someone has been trying to shed for years, or maybe you're a nutritionist. These are transformational things. You're not going to buy a bag of coffee, which is a transactional sale, and be like, oh my God, this coffee changed my life. You may, however, buy marriage coaching, and if it saves your marriage, that will change your life. Again, this is the difference between transactional selling and transformational selling. And so here are a few tips for transformational selling versus transactional selling. You don't need to convince someone that they can do it to buy coffee. However, you will have to convince someone that they can do it when you're selling something like consulting or even an agency service. For example, let's say for a moment that I own a video editing company and I'm gonna cut up short reels from people's YouTube videos. Yes, that is a great service to sell, but that person has to believe that they will get value out of those reels that get cut up and put on their social media. And so how do you inspire that confidence? Well, one great way to do it is sell ancillary products or include ancillary products and services with what you sell. So if I was selling video editing services, I may give them as a bonus for being a client some scripts for how to monetize those reels. Or if I was selling marriage coaching and I felt that my prospects didn't feel they had enough time to go through the material, I might give them a time management course, or I might give them an audio version so they can listen to it in the car. I would figure out what the objections are and I would create portions of my delivery to match those objections. One time I got interviewed by Jordan Belfort, who is the Wolf of Wall Street, the guy that the movie was based on. And he said that there were 3 reasons somebody doesn't buy. One is because they don't trust you. Another one is they don't trust your company. And another one is that they don't trust the product. However, I believe there is a 4th reason, especially if you sell any sort of transformational product, and that is they don't believe in themselves. Maybe you don't think your lawyer can win because you don't feel you have a good argument, or you don't feel like the system is in your favor. But that lawyer does know that he can win that case. So part of the selling process is inspiring the client to be like, hey, this is possible for me. Or for instance, one time I paid $30,000 for a tax plan. And you might say, well, that's a lot of money. But see, it saved me $400,000 that year. But the person that sold me the tax plan had to convince me that it is possible for somebody like me who's not a billionaire to take advantage of the tax code and actually save that much money. And so again, with transformational selling, you can charge whatever you feel is necessary. And here's the real key. When you sell a transformational product, you have to put just as much effort into explaining what you do as you do making it. With coffee, you can create great coffee and word will get around. With transformational products, you have to explain it better than your competitors. If you can explain it simpler, if you can make it more fun and entertaining to hear the explanation, if you can make it feel like it's just for them, and you can make it ultra clear, you're gonna have a great explanation for what you do. And when you can make what you do sound as good as it truly is, that's when people will buy. So the second lesson is that people buy with a side eye. What does that mean? It means that when people see other people buy, they tend to buy more. This is called the mob mentality. In fact, back in the day, there was this technique that people used to use when they would do events, and they would have someone, or even in just a normal sales center, people would come in and they would hire what they called a shrill. And the shrill would pretend to buy. Because when someone is considering buying something and they see someone else buy it, that is an incredibly powerful experience. And they will see that person buy and they'll go, well, if that person decided to buy it, maybe I should buy it. Maybe I'm gonna let them do the thinking for me. I'm gonna let them do the deciding for me. I can't decide. So when I see someone else decide, now I'm like, okay, they made the decision to buy, I should make the decision to buy. This is so powerful that they made shrilling illegal. Illegal. So you can't do it. It's that powerful. And so what I discovered was that if you can ethically engineer a situation where a mob mentality will take place, you have every advantage in that sales situation. And so what I always try to do is, instead of selling one-to-one, I try to sell one-to-many. I try to get the fish in a barrel so that I can shoot those fish in a barrel. I'm not shooting my clients, but you get the point. Because when one person buys, everybody else buys. One trick that I did on one of my very first webinars, and a webinar is like, you hold a training on Zoom, you teach something, and then at the end you offer to sell the people something to continue learning that thing or do it for them. So if you're a tax accountant, you might share a tax strategy and then say, hey, do you want us to implement this for you? Sign up for our tax services. Well, what I did was I created a free Facebook group, and in that group, I promoted the webinar. Well, when I was on the webinar, I said, hey, there is a client group. Now, if you bought, go ahead and post in the free group that you bought and say, hey, Dan, I just bought. Please add me to the client group. So what happened was, as I was doing this webinar live, I had a ton of people posting in a group in the barrel that they had bought. And it created this mob mentality. And we did $48,000 on our first webinar. And then we did the webinar again a week later, and we did $52,000. So that first month that I had launched a sales presentation, did it live twice, did $100,000. And I believe one major reason why is because I took advantage of the mob mentality. So anytime you can inject mob mentality into your sales process, you should absolutely do it, unless you hate money. Okay, so the third lesson is that marketing is senior to sales. What does that mean? It's very difficult to grow a big company with just a sales team. But if you have a great marketing team, you actually don't even need the sales team. Like, think about this. Is there anybody from Apple cold calling, or anybody from PlayStation cold calling people and trying to get them to buy a PlayStation or an iPhone? No. They have such great marketing that people just walk in the store, line up, and buy it, period. So think about it this way. Let's say you have 2 plots of land, right? This plot of land right here, you are renting, right? You're just renting it. And then this plot of land, you own it. In the next 5 to 10 years, which will be worth more to you? You see, this one you rented, so it's only cost you money. This one you own, so it appreciates in value. When you have a company that is built solely on a sales team, the second that sales team hangs up the phone and stops doing outreach, stops doing cold calling, all your goodwill is gone. Like, sales stop coming in. But when you build a company based on marketing, that marketing is still out there. This could be YouTube videos, social media, whatever it is, that brand is being seen. The eyeballs see it in the open, not in the closed. And so this is more like you own the land. And that marketing, every dollar you put into that marketing and that branding, it appreciates in value over time. And it leads to a situation where it either can eliminate the need for a sales team, or it makes the sales team's job extremely easy. They basically become order takers. Just like when you go and you buy something at Apple, nobody needs to convince you to buy an iPhone. You just go in and buy an iPhone. However, when you invest money into a sales team, what happens is you don't really build any goodwill. Once they're gone, they're gone. And it's all based on talent. So if you have 10 good sales reps and then one day they all quit, well, now what? But if you have good marketing, you can mimic that marketing, right? And here's one secret I'll tell you for making great marketing. Put out what you believe to be good marketing. Then email your customers and ask them why they didn't buy. Get a collection of responses, and it'll tell you exactly what you need to improve in your marketing. And over time, you can improve your marketing and get it so good that you don't need a sales team. For instance, we did 3 sales presentations in the last 90 days. The first one did $800,000 in sales with 405 people attended. The second one, we made some changes that they didn't work out, right? I thought they would, and they didn't. The third time, we made some different changes, really dug into the feedback, and on only 197 tickets, did over $500,000 in sales. So that particular sales presentation, per head, per person that came and watched the presentation, actually made more money per head. And it's because when you put out marketing, if you consistently improve it, eventually it will make up for a sales team, because we didn't have a sales team for that. Those numbers that I mentioned, 800,000, 200,000, 500,000, no sales team. That was just really great marketing and one-to-many, or fish in a barrel, sales process. So to recap, make sure you understand if you're in transformational or transactional selling, and that your techniques and your objections fit which one you're in. Number 2, make sure that you try to leverage the mob mentality as much as possible in your sales process. And number 3, understand that the more dollars you put into marketing, the more equity you will build. And if your marketing is incredibly good, it makes a sales team less and less and less required. And if it's good enough, you don't need a sales team at all. I'm gonna get back to my vacation with my mother and my wife. If you love this video, don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.